Hello. So I just want to share this. So if you're interested in hearing the voice of God, according to Western tradition or the Abrahamic traditions, they suggest reading the Bible or the Quran, practicing stillness and praying, worshiping, aka going to church or temple or shul, listening and obeying the soft voice inside, and acknowledging synchronicities that happen in your life that might open doors. But what do other religious traditions have to say about hearing the voice of God in your own life? And we will discover this tonight on Thursday Night Live. Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. So I would say last week, but we had that little technical glitch that occurred. So 2 weeks ago, I was discussing the three Abrahamic traditions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And again, repeating what I just said, they suggest that if you want to hear the voice of God, that you read the Bible or the Quran, that you practice stillness and pray, that you worship or go to church or something like that, that you listen and obey to the soft voices inside. And that is how God communicates to you, through opening doors or creating opportunities for you to follow. And so, but where this whole two-part segment came from is, and please no mean cards or letters with me saying this, but this is my reality, that if you are Christian and you hear the voice of God and you pay attention to those little whispers inside and you feel inspired to do something, you're good and you go to heaven. But if you say that you're psychic and you listen to the soft whispers inside and you pay attention to synchronicities and you do things like meditate or something like that, you're doing freaking devil work. And I don't really understand how they can make that equation. And so we are going to explore more Eastern traditions, primarily what comes out of India, Hinduism, and then the basis of Chinese medicine, which is the meridian system. Because Taoism, or following the Tao, isn't a religion, it's a philosophical practice, but not a belief system. And so, but let's start here. So when you think about God in Western traditions, God is often depicted as this guy out there, this guy sitting in a chair, waving his hand and having things magically happen here on earth, that there is somebody in charge that made the earth and made humanity in 7 days. But then you get the question, so if that guy is there, then who made that guy? Which you can't answer because it's an unanswerable question. But when you look at how that concept is understood in Eastern traditions, they don't suggest that there is a person, or male or female, who's sitting there running the show. Like, there's no CEO of existence hanging out. They tend to suggest that we are part of God. that we are integral to, like us, a rock, a tree, other people, other planets, life on other planets, that we are all manifestations of God. And we are in this dynamic within it. And so there is no guy in a chair, because we are part of the manifestation. And so that really, one, throws a different light on things. But when you're talking about, the whole psychic thing, I'm just going to say the whole psychic thing, where we have gleaned our most of our information regarding Eastern spirituality has really come from the New Age movement, and if you're a New Ager, you're already like an evil devil worship, gonna burn in hell kind of person anyway. But that whole idea sheds light on how we hear the voice of God. And in those systems, they describe a very, I'm going to say, the mechanism that occurs between us and the divine. And so they have, and we're going to talk about the diagrams and talk about the systems, so they have dug deep and come up with a contextual reality of how things invisible to us and that communication with God occur. And so in that system, and through New Age ideas, there are concepts like orange chakras, which, excuse me for saying this, but if you're a hardcore Christian, you don't have. You can't meditate, but you can practice stillness. You can't repeat mantras, because mantras are evil, but you can say a rosary, which is basically repeating the same prayer over and over and over, which is kind of like a mantra, and part of that whole concept, Eastern concept, is looking for those synchronicities and having gratitude for finding them. Now, one comment that I want to make, and this is me comment, is so I was brought up Catholic. I went to Catholic school, and I have to tell you, I never, ever, ever heard of anyone saying, well, you should go meditate. Well, you should find silence, or practice stillness. Those words were never used. It was go to church. Go to church, maybe read the Bible, in some religious organizations, reading the Bible is definitely a part of it. But there's never this concept of listening to that voice inside and paying attention to and living your life based on that inner voice, that soft voice inside that is leading you forward. And so we get, to me, all of that information from Eastern traditions, even though they kind of negate it. Sorry, I'm a little cranky on this whole thing. But let's talk about what we find in Eastern traditions, because I have like a very interesting little thing to add to it. And I have a million slides, and hopefully they are going to cooperate with me today. So when we're talking about Hinduism, nope, that is the one I want, but why is it not the right picture? There we go. So in Hinduism, they talk about the chakra system, and there are 7 chakras that run up and down the spine, and they connect to different areas in our body and affect us in different ways. And so the first chakra, the one at the base of the spine, has to do with our connection to the earth. It has to do with our physical body. The second chakra has to do with our ability to feel energy. The third chakra has to do with will and our willpower and how we interact with people and situations around us. The fourth chakra has to do with love and affinity and our care for ourselves. The fifth chakra has to do with communication, not just our inner voice, but also our ability to hear spirit. The sixth chakra is our third eye, our ability to see information on like in our imagination, on non-visual, meaning eye channels. And then the seventh chakra connects us to the divine. And so the way that the process works is energy comes in through the seventh chakra, down through the body, all the way down to the earth, and then comes back up through those chakras. And when we're in health, those chakras are open and spinning. And when we are in ill health, there is some kind of impact on those chakras that is causing our body to manifest disease. So we find a very similar system. Boy, if I could just like see these pictures, they are so small. Okay, we find a similar but different system coming out of China. And there, why is it doing that? That is not what I'm touching. Okay, let's do that. Okay, and so there we find the acupuncture system. And what the acupuncture system suggests is that there are energy channels that run through the body. So all of those little lines are actually meridians. And we talked about the meridians on one show that run through the body. But as you can see, there is a main line that comes down the center of the body. And so imagine, so actually I have a different picture. This would be better. No, go back. There we go. And so this is the meridians as well as the acupuncture points on the head and the upper torso. And so where the chakras are 7 individual points up and down the spine, and they identify that there are chakras in your hand, or a chakra in each hand and a chakra in each foot. In the Chinese system, they take those 7 and break it down into a massive number of individual points that run through the body. And again, if you have an obstruction in one of these acupuncture points, it can manifest as physical disease, which is why people go and get acupuncture. And in acupuncture, they take a very fine needle and they insert it in those points, depending on what your symptoms are. So let's say you are having gallbladder issues and it was manifesting as, let's say, headaches. Okay, and so if you look on that picture, right above the eye, there is that green line that's coming to a point, kind of a little triangle. And that's actually a piece of the gallbladder meridian. And so if it's determined that your gallbladder meridian or your gallbladder is having issues and it was manifesting in headaches, it might be that they're going to stick needles into some of those points based on the belief that there is stagnant energy, that there is energetic obstruction in those points, and that obstruction is causing you to be ill, to be sick. And so, but it gets interesting because all right, I'm going to go with this picture. What do I have? 2 of the same. Okay, I have 2 of the same. Okay, but in addition to the physical body, and this comes more out of Hinduism and the chakra system, they also talk about the bodies that surround us, namely the etheric body, the emotional body, the material body, and the causal body. And energy from the world around us has to go through each of these bodies before it impacts us. And so when someone gets sick and they're working with me and I'm poking around on their gallbladder and I am able to identify, what thoughts and emotions are impacting their health, because, and I'm just going to come back to this. So I wish I had like a little pointer that I could point on here other than my screen. So going back to that green line that's on the head. So maybe the point on the green line that is by their ear, maybe I am detecting that that spot is obstructed, which has an emotion tied to it, and that's what needs to be cleared. I hope this is making sense. I might feel like I'm kind of rambling, but it is not that the thought and emotion is sitting inside the physical body. It's because that thought or emotion is sitting either in the mental body or the emotional body and is interfering with the flow of energy through the subtle channels that make up our body. And so you might go, okay, well, that's Eastern stuff. What does that have to do with anything or religion? And so I'm going to throw this into the mix because this is, I find fascinating. I don't find fascinating, but I think you might find it fascinating. Okay, so enter Jewish mysticism. So we talked about the Abrahamic traditions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. But the mystical side of Judaism, and there is a very mystical side to Judaism, bases a lot of their belief and their study on the Kabbalah. And so if you are talking to someone who studies Kabbalah, their view of who we are and our relationship to God is very different. And so the way that it was explained to me, and I love this example. So imagine that I'm going to make myself big here for a second. So imagine that there's a star, and so here's the star, but coming off of the star are all of these rays. And when you get to the end of the ray, so this is our ray, so this is our causal body, this is our mental body, this is our emotional body, this is our etheric body, and on the very tip of that is us. And our consciousness, according to both Eastern texts and Kabbalistic texts, starts when we pass the line from being part of the star into the causal body, which separates us and individuates us from God. That's God. That's us. That's me. That's you. That's your brother. That's Raylan. So we're all connected to source, but because we are on the end of these points, we can't recognize that we're all connected. Very different viewpoint, very different underlying belief as to what's going on. But going back to this tree of life, so I very briefly talked on the chakras. Okay, go back. There we go. And so in the tree of life, it's very interesting. If you count, there are actually 7 layers. So starting at the bottom, at number 10, there's Malkut. And then going up, number 9 would be like the second chakra. Number 8 and 7 match up with the third chakra. Number 6 matches up with the fourth chakra. And you notice how everything goes into that location, that seraph, which is where we process what's going on with me. The next layer up, number 5 and 4, is how we communicate. Number 3 and 2 has to do with our ability to commune with higher sources. And then again, number 1, how we connect to source. And when you assess what these individual points mean, so in all right, that was not what I meant to do. There we go. That is not, this thing is so retarded sometimes. Okay, so, so in Hinduism, when you talk about the chakra, they talk about the yin and the yang. The good and the bad, the happy and the sad, and they are integrating into this one whole, and sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less. But in this system, there is where we are whole and where we are undivided, and that is that middle pillar. And then there are the ones that are split. And if we So I'm going to use Hod and Netches, and I have no phonics skills, so if I'm not saying it right, sorry. And so this has to do with our third chakra, our ability to use our power and our energy for ourselves or in relationship to other people. And so 7 is our unfettered energy. We sit down with a good book. We start playing a video game. We go out for a walk in nature. You know, we're sitting with a good friend and we're talking. And the next thing we know, time has gone by and we've had just a really good time. And that is the power of us using our energy in an abandoned state, you know, where it is not fettered or held in consequence. But on the other side, on number 8, is the power of will. And so that's the energy that we use to, like, pay our bills and clean the bathtub and mow the lawn. And so the belief is that you can be drifted off way into 7 and never get anything done, or you could be way off on the other side and really not have any fun in your life, with the goal of having those two sides meet in the middle to be one and be whole. So when speaking about communing with God, based on this system, and I had another image, but I was already kind of getting overloaded with pictures, is that energy from God comes in to number 1, and then it goes down to number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, and then down and out through number 10. And that is called the lightning path. And it is through having the energy be able to flow through the tree of life unfettered. Okay, if your 7 and 8 are whole and combined, they're going to sit on the middle pillar. If 4 and 5 are whole, they're going to sit on the middle pillar. If 2 and 3 are whole, it's going to sit on the middle pillar, and energy will flow freely through you. And so I think it's interesting because, you know, on the surface with Judaism, it's, you know, go to shul, you know, honor the Sabbath, do the 10 commandments, do mitzvahs, you know, do these things. But no one really talks about, again, how to commune with God, even though when you get into their metaphysical or their spiritual part, it's very much a conversation of how you commune with God. And so, you know, and see, finally, we're getting back to this picture. And so imagine where there's the little, okay, so there are the bodies, and then there are the little wavy lines in between. So imagine if between one body, so between the causal body at the 6th chakra and the mental body, where there's kind of that sine wave, that in between are all of the chakras, or lined up, or a tree of life lined up. And then between the next 2 bodies, another set of chakras or another tree of life lined up. And so energy has to travel through all of that and make it so that we can hear the voice of God. And so I don't know, okay, I'm really not talking about the voice of God. I'm really talking about these systems, but I don't understand how, in talking about these systems and in talking about how energy travels through us and how our subtle energy or our subtle body is made up, how that is so evil and how that is so demonic and how that is so awful. I mean, it is just sitting there and telling you how you need to fix the car or telling you how the car works. And I don't understand why that people have such a hard time with it. So, you know, it just seems like Western traditions aren't really interested in figuring out and learning how really to commune with God, or you know, or to understand the deeper workings of who we are. You know, so as I said before, there's more than one road to God. So let me get big again. As I said before, there's more than one road to God that can, and more than one way to help you get there. And so, you know, perhaps instead of bashing and belittling anything that stands outside the book, that maybe they should look into these mysteries of what's going on and take it as a roadmap as to how to make that connection. You know, because regardless of the path you choose, it's my hope that you decide to connect with God and be open to hearing his voice. So let me know what you think. So if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, let me know what you think in the comments below. You know, and while you're there, you know, whether you're on BitChute or Rumble, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments. And while you're there, please like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, star me, follow me, whatever it is on that platform, so that you can keep informed of shows that are coming up, because I would love for you to continue getting this kind of education from me. And I would love to hear from you. I would honestly love to hear from you. Okay, so let's kind of change gears. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat room. And so before I do, here are the rules of engagement. So if you would like to get a reading from me, just say in the comments, hey, Dr. Rita, your hair looks really great, which actually it does look pretty good today. I'd like to get a reading, and then provide me with a number between 1 and 3. And that's how many times I will shuffle the cards on your behalf and give you a reading. If you have a specific question that you would like to ask, what is with this thing? You know, I keep pushing the button. I'm not pushing that other picture button, and it just won't go away. If you would like to ask a specific question, then go to soulhealer.com/live, soulhealer.com/live, and go to the Ask Dr. Louise tab, you know, or button, and you can go there and ask me a specific question. You know, there might be something going on with work. There might be a relationship issue that you would like some more insight. And that would be the venue for asking me something specific versus just getting a general reading. If the show's going on and it looks like, you know, wow, she's not going to get to me today, and you would like to jump the line, click the jump the line link, and I will go and, you know, check my email, and you will be the next person in line to get a reading today. So with that said, let's go ahead. Oh, let me get me back. Okay. With that said, let me give my cards a quick shuffle here, and we will get started. So I hope what I said makes sense. There's just so much to take in, and I'm not very good at breaking things down into smaller chunks. You know, I think if I did a show every day, I could break them down into smaller chunks, because it would flow across several days easier than having a week sit in between, or 2 weeks, as the case may be in this situation. You know, it would be better. Okay, so let's see. So first up is ERRT Radio. And he says, hey, Raylan. He says, happy Thursday, Dr. Rita. You look fabulous. May I have a reading number 3, please? Thank you. And ERRT Radio, you sure can. You know, and as always, people, well, actually, let me do this. Where are you? Banners. That is banners. Okay, so if you're watching this show in a rerun form or would like to catch it live and join the chat room, please go to my YouTube channel, which is Just Energy Radio. So that's at Just Energy Radio on YouTube, and you can join the fun. And if you would like to schedule a private consultation with me, don't forget, you can go to my webpage, soulhealer.com. Okay, now back to you, ERRT Radio. Where is that? Hi, there you go. All right, I'm going to reshuffle for you because I totally screwed that up. Okay, ERRT Radio. Okay, and this is your card for today. And that's it. Okay. So ERRT Radio, I get the impression that you're doing okay. I do get the impression that you are feeling a bit frustrated. I feel like it's been a little bit hard for you to ground and relax. You know, and I'm not feeling like it's a you thing. Like, I don't get the impression that there's anything overwhelming going on specifically in your life. I just feel like that's just kind of where you're at right now, which is fine. You know, the words you're telling me is, you know, I just wish things would calm down and be easier. I feel like, you know, that it's just, you've just been frustrated. Like, it's just been one thing after another, and you just want to have some inner peace, please. You know, short of, you know, I don't know that I have answers, because I think that the world is very irritating. All right, this is my opinion. I think the world is very irritating right now. And I think you really are just kind of picking up on the vibe. My feeling is anything that you can do to try to keep your vibration high, anything that you can do to keep yourself out of fear, anything that you can do to keep positive, stay positive in the midst of sucky people and crap, you know, I think that you would still be providing light and love to the world, even though you're not necessarily feeling like light or lovey. So, okay, so we have Christine. Hey, Christine says, hello, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Hope, well, may I have a reading number 3, please, and thank you. And you sure can, Christine. Okay, let's see. All right. And that's your card for today. So, Christine, and I'm not really understanding what happened, but I feel like something happened, and you keep showing me this picture. And I mean, seriously, like you're pulling shrapnel out of your body. Like you went through a window and there are these big chunks of glass in your arm, and you know, you have a tweezer and you're like picking the glass out of your arm. You know, and I'm not detecting that you are upset about that. You're upset about it, like emotionally upset, but I feel like it's a thing. And it is kind of interfering with your ability to move forward, because instead of moving forward, you're dealing with this thing. And it's taking far too long to take care of. Okay. I hope that makes sense for you. You know, I have to tell you, this energy really needs to shift because looking at everybody's down, funky energy kind of sucks for me. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, Austin exits America. God bless America. Um, well, welcome from Puerto Rico. And you always can get a reading, Austin. Hey, maybe you should see if you can like meet up with some of my family because I have family in Puerto Rico. That was me imitating my grandfather. God bless America. Because he only knew how. Okay, true story. This is just for you, Austin. So my grandfather did not speak English. And the only things that I ever knew him to ever say in English was God bless America and shit. That was it. Until I was about 13, and somehow he miraculously could speak kind of English. And you could have a conversation with him. And I have to tell you, he was funny. He would like prank on you. He would do all this stuff. If I had only known younger, because we had no relationship, because all he said was God bless America and shit. Anyway, number 2. You know, these cards have been wanting to come up everywhere. Okay, Austin, mass card for you. Okay, there's another mass card, but I'm debating whether I want it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not taking it for you. Okay, so that's the card that came up. Austin exits America. You're killing me. Why is my machine just not cooperating? That's your card. And so what I'm getting for you, Austin, this is just so simple. Trust. You know, I feel like that there are places that you're supposed to be going and things that you're supposed to be doing. Don't overthink them. For you right now, it is really all about feeling into it and doing what feels good or feels right for you and to you. I feel like if you go and follow the path of brain and ego, you're not going to be happy. But if you follow the path of intuition and heart and love, which I know you can do, then it is going to lead you to somewhere actually pretty wonderful. I get the impression that that is going to kind of come out of left field where you are going to be led to. Let it lead you. Don't lead it. Let it lead you. I hope that makes sense. I'm so excited to see you. Okay, let's see. Amy. Hello, Dr. Rita. Happy Thursday. May I please have a number 1 tonight? Thank you. You sure can, Amy. Well, Amy, Puerto Rico is way closer than Thailand, so that's good. You're not going to believe it. Okay. I don't know. You know, it's either the next card or like this giant stack with another mask in there. All right, I'm just going to go with this card right here. That card right there. Because I feel like I'm just going to end up looping around to this energy anyway. Okay. So, Amy, I get the impression that there has been a choice, a decision that has been out there that you've been trying to make. I feel like I mean, it's interesting because you know where you need to be going. You know where over there is. You know where the end of the destination is. But there are these little side roads and side ventures that are going, Amy, what about me? Amy, what about me? Don't listen to them. Don't pay attention to them. Your heart already knows what it's supposed to be doing. I feel like there's a level of clarity, and don't let those little outliers and those little pieces of fear deter you from making that change or bringing in what it is that you're supposed to be bringing in right now. I feel like those voices and those detours aren't that loud, but they are there nonetheless. Don't listen to them. They have nothing. They will not lead you to salvation. I have to tell you, Raylan is just right here, kind of driving me crazy. He's been like this all day. He wants to be on air. Should I bring Raylan on? Come on, up, up, up. There you go. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Here, let's fix your mustache. There. Say hi. It's me, the puppy. Okay, thank you. There you go. There you go, right there. Nope, right here. Come on, go, go, go. Go. Here. Anyway, okay. And we have Pearl. Hi, Pearl. I think you must be, I'm not recognizing your name. So if you're new, welcome to the show. If you have been here before and I just am old, I'm having an old moment, I'm sorry. And so she says, happy Thursday, everyone. It's so nice to gather here to see, oops, I clicked on it, to see Dr. Rita's gorgeous hair. Dr. Rita, may I please have a reading with a one shuffle? You sure can, Pearl. All right. Oh, Pearl, ooh, what did I do? I blew up my computer. Okay, I am really not sure what that is. All right, I'm going to change my camera here and then change it back. Oh, there we go. There we go. It was my blue phase. So Pearl. Okay, so there are only 5 of these mask cards in a deck. And there are days where they just back up and they're everywhere. And there's only 5. And I mean, it's a pretty big deck. Okay, so all right, so that's your clear card. And it was just the next one. So everybody is clearing quick. We're not, no one has gotten the next card, next card, next card. And it's like 5 cards deep before I feel the energy's clearing. So that's really good. And that's a very promising sign to me that it's just sitting below the surface. Okay, so Pearl, I get the impression that there is something going on in your life or something coming up in your life, and you are being given the choice of being in your integrity or not, or giving up on yourself and going along with what's wanted, what's needed, what's expected of you. And my comment is be true to yourself, be honest with yourself, be in your integrity. I feel like there is so much strength in that. And could there be fallout that happens? There surely can. But I feel like for you, it's almost like one of those universe tests. It's like, well, am I going to love myself, or am I just going to go along to get along? And I feel like, this is kind of an important piece for you to doing what you say you're going to do and be whole and one with yourself. So just do it. Just do it, baby. Okay, let's see. And it's Ohura. Hey, Ohura. And she says, hello, dear Dr. Rita. Good to be in your presence. Thank you, Ohura. May I have your wise revelation on a number 3, please? Thank you very much indeed. Cheers to you. And you sure can, Ohura. And I am just do this. Hang on with me real quick. All right. Okay, and so I just kind of like scrolled through the comments, and there's kind of a lot of requests for readings. And so if you would like to get a reading, and you can see where I am in the list, and we have less than 15 minutes, and I quit at 8 o'clock. So if you want to get a reading and you want to jump the line, go to soulhealer.com/live, click the jump the line, and you will be the next in line to get a reading. Okay, so Ahura, I did your shuffle. All right, thank you for not having a match card, but that is your card for today. Interesting. So Ahura, it's very interesting. You're showing me a very interesting energy. I feel like you have become the observer of the obstacles and challenges going on in your life and around you. And I feel like you have consciously taken a step back so that you are not in the middle of it, but you are the observer of it, and which leaves you in an unaffected place. I feel like being in this position has brought you some calmness and comfort. I feel like it has made your life not be a struggle. You know, being in this position can be a very healing place. I am going to say sometimes it's hard to maintain unless there is, I'm going to say, a conscious effort made. But I feel like once we can find this place, it is an energy dynamic that we can use as a goal to wanting to be in more often than not. So good job. Good job. Okay, let's see. And it's Yvonne. Hey, Yvonne. She says, happy Thursday, Dr. Rita. Glad you are back. So the battery on my computer was saying it was low. So I checked it in the wall and it was fine. I checked it in my computer. It was fine. You know, and I'm on a laptop and they have that box. And one side of that box has a plug-in, and that's where it unplugged. And it wasn't until after I crashed and burned that I saw that that's where it unplugged, and it killed me. It killed me. So she wants a number 2 reading, and you sure can, Yvonne. You know, once you drop from the studio, I don't think you can like re-enter your own stream because your stream drops. So there's that. Anyway, I made sure it was all plugged in today. All right, so Yvonne, that's your card for today. Interesting. So Yvonne, I get the impression that you would like to do some internal housekeeping. I get the impression that there are things that you see that you're not really liking. You know, so whether that's on a very physical level or an emotional level, it's a little hard for me to separate. I am, you know, the biggest thing is that I am sensing dissatisfaction and the desire to change, the desire to let go of things that aren't working for you anymore. And so that you have room to create or recreate things that are working for you or that will work for you. You know, and if there's an emotional piece to it, you know, if it feels, you know, like it's depleting, or I don't want to say painful because I'm not getting pain, you know, that's normal. That's just part of that process, of that letting go process. So good job. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it wasn't an internet issue. It was a Rita issue last week. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Kathy, I think you might be a new person here too. Number 2 reading, you sure can. Welcome to the show. Glad you could come tonight. Hope you come back. Okay, and that's your card for today. So Kathy, this is really interesting. I feel like you've been in like a good energy place, a blessing place. I feel like things are working for you. Things are flowing in a good and positive direction. But I want to make the comment that there is a lot of old self-doubt, negative self-thoughts, limiting beliefs that are just sitting in the background waiting to jump in. One, enjoy this energy, because this is the person that you can be and should be. If that negative stuff, okay, this is how you should be. Let me just clarify it this way. This is how you should be. This is how you should be experiencing life. If you're experiencing life from a negative place, then that's not you. That is old energy. It is other people's energy interfering with your ability to be you. And so if you can recognize, this is me in my own space, in my own personal vibration from all of this other stuff, it gives you the opportunity to become more mindful over, wait a minute, I'm not being me anymore. So what the heck is going on? And make different choices about what's going on with your energy in your space. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And anybody that I've given readings to today, I would love to hear your feedback on what you think. And we have Chief Flow Academy. Hi, Chief Flow Academy. Thanks for coming to the show. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right, it's Don. You made it in time, Don. And he says, hi, Dr. Rita, a bit late, but here, could I get a number 2? I love your hair tonight. Thank you, Don. Looking good. So, I don't know if you guys know. So, I do the show, but I also do a lot of people's radio show. And so when they ask me about me doing this show and about getting a reading, I always tell them on air, it's like, well, they can go in the chat room and say, hey, Dr. Rita, your hair looks great. Can I get a reading? I always say that. It's kind of funny, I think. Anyway, okay, Don, let's see what you got tonight. Okay. And that's you for today. Okay. So Don, this is an interesting energy for you. I feel like things have been calm. I feel like things have been, dare I say, peaceful. I feel like things have been stable. I feel like the world's not burning down around you. I feel like your energy has not been going up and down. I feel like there is a certain level of calm. Can I say tranquility? I don't know. I just feel calm. And I feel and I feel like that confuses you a little bit because that dynamic is different than what you are used to. And so because I feel like, you're more used to the ups and downs that happen on a regular basis. You're used to having that inner critic be like, Don, you suck, go back, don't do it, don't do it. And that's not really happening. At least right now, it's not happening. And so enjoy the calm. There's always the calm before the storm. Hopefully it's not really a storm. Hopefully it's just showers. Okay. Love you, Don. Okay, let's see. And then talking about meridian. So Chief Flow Academy says all you have to do is push the back of your ear on your skull to see if you have any tender points. That's your gallbladder meridian. And actually, Chief Flow Meridian, where I tend to detect gallbladder issues in people, are hot spots on their thighs, like going down the pants seam of their thighs. Okay, I'm going to take that back. Forehead, back here, exactly. That's another point that most people, if they have gallbladder issues, it's very hot. And then spots down their thigh are always big indicators of gallbladder issues. And then Don says, I had this done one time and I felt better than I ever had. And my life was much improved. Okay, Don, thanks for that share. Hi, Gizmo. Okay, what time is it? All right, you're my last one for tonight. Gizmo says, hey, Dr. Rita, your hair is wonderful. Please read me a 3. You sure can, Gizmo. Okay, and that's your card for today. So Gizmo, very interesting dynamic. I feel like your life is going okay. I'm not feeling like when you look out at the world that there's anything weird happening. But I feel like inside your body, there's just a lot of agitation. I feel like it has been challenging for you to ground. I feel like, that when you do root into the earth, that it doesn't feel very comfortable to you. And because of that, it is causing your energy to back up into your space. I don't get the impression that there's anything wrong with you, like on a physical functional level, that is causing that, other than you're just not really grounded. But again, when we ground, we root into the earth. But if the earth isn't feeling good, it's not a comfortable place to ground. So, as I've kind of been alluding to through the show, it's like the energy just really needs to shift because it's not fun at all. Right, Don, I'm not even going to read your comment. All right, Neno Horse says, you look nice, Dr. Rita. Thanks for the talk of wisdom and knowledge. I believe the same. There are many roads to God as people or even all creatures. Blessings to you. Thank you, Ahura. Okay, so Avita, God, I'm going to just do this so I don't have to shuffle. Hey, guys, can I get a yes or no, please? I'm getting yes, so go with yes. All right, ERRT Radio says, wow, once again, spot on. Thanks for confirming my suspicions. And then Avita says, her voice is very calming. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. And then Christine says, thank you. It's a funky energy. I've been feeling, Christine, it is the funky energy on this planet. It's not fun. Okay, so let's see. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm just seeing if there's any feedback. You know, so all these people like Avita and Sega Sami Homeboy, you know, you either need to jump the line. If there are, you know, if I'm like totally not to you, or you need to get here a little bit early to get a reading. Anyway, guys, my time is up for today. So until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Be blessed.